I felt guilty for leaving everybody else behind, and we were married for less than a year.
This is not the first time. He's done it before. What is up, everyone, and welcome to the latest reality train wreck, which is 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, episode 2. And it gets it's crazy. It's crazy, off the wall. You know how it goes. Everyone's ridiculous. No one's going to make it. No hope. But we're introduced to a new couple, which is kind of an old couple, Statler and Dempsey, who just could not be put polar opposites, or could not be more opposite, if you will. So that will get interesting. But first, comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Make sure you share with your friends. I appreciate all the support. And when we get to 1,000, we're going to be looking at that live show, looking for that Married at First Sight when it comes back. Still waiting on that date. Anyone got any, insights on the date? Let me know. But I have not seen anything. But when it does come back, I know they're shooting. It's going to be another Chicago season. So that is going to be interesting. We'll see. But when it comes back, it'll be fun. This is fun in and of itself, so I'm enjoying it, but also it's kind of like watching just the madness unfold. It's like watching a train wreck, if you will, or watching kind of like something on the side of the road when everyone sees the cops and they're like, what's going on over there? Because they kind of want to see the madness of it all. That's kind of what it is, because you know it's going to be crazy. But first, let's get into Statler and Dempsey. Now, if you remember, they were the polar opposites of last season, and Statler ended up going over to see Dempsey in England, and they could not have been more different. They could not have been fighting more, from the free, kind of free-living Dempsey to Statler, who is, uses her anxiety as a crutch every time she doesn't like something. It's my anxiety. So, almost as a cop-out. Of course there is, people with mental health issues for sure. But when you use it as an absolute cop-out and when you don't like something, it's a little suspect. Just saying. But let's get into it.
Downsizing again is just going to let me go to the next journey. I've always wanted to travel, and I've always imagined myself living in a van, and I'm so glad that I've got somebody to share that with.
And who would that be? Well, of course, she's talking about Statler. However, Statler was the one that was bothered by the caravan, by the, basically the trailer, if you will, that she was living in on, a farm out there. Nice scenery, but she was bothered by that. And yet, you are happy that you're going to be spending your time with her in a van. How do you think that's going to go? It just doesn't seem like it's going to end well. I can't say that, I have high hopes for this one. But let's see where Statler's at for it.
Ah, feels so nice. Yes, Charles, I'll take a wine now.
This person, this one right here, right up there, that person is going to be the one that lives in a van with you. Yeah, she was the one that had a problem when there was no plumbing because it hadn't been hooked up and you had to go out in the outhouse or outside or whatever when they lived before in the trailer. And yet you're going to live in a van traveling and she's going to be okay with that? Her bougie self trying to put on like face masks and be in a tub? How's that going to end? It's heading for a disaster, and I don't know who is trying to fool themselves more. Dempsey, by thinking this girl can come in there and do all the traveling around in a small space and be okay without claiming that she's having anxiety attacks every 2 seconds because something happened she doesn't like. Or if it's Statler claiming that she can make it work and it'll be great because she's like not possibly impulsive at all or anything like that. It's just not looking good. Not looking good at all.
Usually I end my bath by taking a pee. Really? Yeah. It's just this freedom. Nobody can tell me what to do. I'm peeing in my own bath.
No one can tell you what to do but to marinate in your own bodily juices. Well done, Statler. Well done. Don't ever let anyone tell you that this one is not a character, because she's definitely an odd one. But, yeah, not going to work out. Not going to happen. They ain't going to vibe. The question is, does she make it through the whole van trip, however long they're planning on being on this, forever, never-ending road trip? Obviously, it's going to come to an end. They have some sort of plan. But is she going to be able to make it to the end and then maybe be like, yeah, it ain't for me, or is halfway through, which is kind of brought up by one of Dempsey's friends later on, she's going to be like, yeah, I'm out. I'm done. I'm going back. Whatever. I'm going back to the States. I'm not traveling this anymore. I'm not being in this van anymore. I'm not, going to be riddled with anxiety anymore with you. Might happen. I don't think she's going to make it through the whole trip. I don't. I'd bet against it. And, maybe I lose money, but I would bet against it.
I tend to overwhelm people sometimes because I do get overwhelmed and then lash out or just freeze. And
okay, I love how she leads with lash out, because you know what? That's what's going to be. Basically, she's already setting it up to be able to have a cop out and say, oh, I'm overwhelmed. Oh, my anxiety. Oh, this. By saying, I tend to get overwhelmed and then I lash out at people. Now, she led that up with freeze. Okay, every time I've seen it with her, when they were in this show before, it was more of like, if it didn't go her way, then she was the one kind of throwing a tantrum. She was the one. And when I say tantrum, I don't mean she was stomping her feet, but I mean she immediately couldn't just take something that she didn't like hearing at face value and kind of take it, marinate, talk about it. She can't process it that way. She doesn't have the capability, the emotional maturity. So it was always an issue. It was always, I'm going to kind of pout. It was always we can't deal with this in an adult, mature manner because I didn't hear what I want to hear. Like when she was trying to rush to move over there and say, hey, I think the next step is moving together, when they've only met and known each other for about a week. I mean, they knew each other longer, but met in the first time they meeting and knew each other for whatever it was, a week. And then she's like, I love you though. And, I think the next step is I'm going to sell everything and move over here. And, Dempsey was like, whoa. Look, I love you too, but maybe not move so fast. And she didn't like that. And she kind of got in her head, got in her feelings and, oh, my anxiety. When in reality, that's just kind of life stuff. And sometimes you got to get to know people. So apparently they've worked that out a little bit because now she's going over there to live. However, when the hard times come, are they going to be able to deal with it? I don't think so. And she's already setting it up by saying, I tend to lash out when, I'm kind of feeling uncomfortable. Dempsey might want to rethink this one because I don't think this one's going to work out.
Being like, I'm too busy, I'm too stressed, I'm shutting down. You're just going to have to sort everything out and I'll just kind of see you when I get there.
Okay, so the next problem is that when they've been trying to plan this, every time they've been talking about it, Statler has been like, hey, I'm busy, I can't do this, you're going to have to sort it out and I'll deal with it when I get there. She's trying to pretend like the reality of the situation isn't the reality, which is, the plan is, you're going to go there, y'all are going to live in a van and travel Europe, I guess. I don't know exactly where they're going, but, travel all around. And so because she doesn't want to deal with it, and because, as she said, when she's uncomfortable, she tends to lash out, she's just trying to not deal with it until the very last minute. Now, do you think that's going to work out well? Or do you think maybe this might not be good for their relationship? I'm going to say not good for their relationship, and she's going to get overwhelmed, and her anxiety and all those things she's going to say very, very quickly, and it's going to get old very fast. But just to not even be helping and to always have an excuse, it's just, if you're in a loving relationship, you're trying to help the person you're with. If you're already not willing to do that for one reason or another, it's going to be a big problem.
And traveling around is her ideal. I think that she likes to have more structure in her life and know where she's going to be and what she's going to do and where she's going to work and stuff.
Yeah, so it's not going to work out. How do you expect this to work? She knows, but she's trying to just hope it works out because, of love or whatever. But in reality, she knows exactly how she is in that she wants the structure. She wants the, the comforts. She wants the luxuries. She doesn't want to be traveling around and having to pull over in the woods and go take a dump in the woods or something because there's no bathrooms around. Yeah, she don't want that. But yet, they're trying to pretend, I guess both of them on both ends are trying to pretend that it's going to be something that it's not, which is, it's like glamorizing camping. If you like camping, that it's not real camping, not taking the RV or whatever. But if you glamorize camping, you kind of might think of it like, oh, it's fun, and you don't think of the dirty things or anything like that. But if you know the reality of camping, you know it can be fun, it can be great, but you also have the dirty aspect of sleeping on the ground and, in a tent and, with wildlife and all that kind of things. And then you have people like Statler, who, if she was going to do camping, it would be it would be glamping in a big RV with all the luxuries, which is like bringing your home with you. Now, that sounds like fun too, but it's not real camping. Kind of like this. In reality, she's thinking of like the fantasy of it, but once she gets there and she's cramped in this van and they're driving around doing whatever, it's not going to be pretty. The happy times are going to be fewer and far between, I think. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she adapts. You have two options, well, really 3 options. Fight, flight, or freeze. But, in reality, probably fight or flight. So are you going to fight for it and adapt, or are you going to get out of there? What do you think? I'm not optimistic about Statler staying. I'm just not. Then you have James and Natalia, or Tata, if you will. Now, their relationship is already starting off a little bit shaky because there were some allegations or she kind of seemed like she jumped the gun on the allegations of he doesn't want kids now because he simply stated to a friend that he was concerned. Although, maybe that was, maybe he really doesn't want kids. I guess we'll see. Then there was the whole thing about not telling her about the dog coming. Okay, listen, you should be honest with your significant other. You should be upfront and honest. However, he was trying to shield her because he knew he'd be upset, but he should have been honest. He should have been upfront and honest. So he was wrong there. But they're kind of on shaky ground, and they haven't told his family yet, and now we're to the point of taking her to the airport, with him supposed to be closely behind within like a month or so. And how's that actually going to go?
And then when you gonna come to Indonesia? You didn't buy a ticket yet.
Between a month to a month and a half. That's the plan. I'm going to be just working as much as I can while I'm here.
Makes sense. Trying to work, trying to save money.
That's going to be what we'll have for money over there. And then I'm going to try to work for your family.
Optimistic. I'm going to try to work for your family. So he's trying to think of how I can provide. That's his thing here. And his whole thing all along is her family owns this banana chip company or whatever, and he's going to work for them to make money to provide. That's been the whole thing. But wait.
That's the thing. If you work with my family, they won't pay you.
What the heck did you just say? If you work for my family, they won't pay you. That's going to be a problem. His whole thing is hinging on the fact that he can work for your family to make money. And yet now is the time you say if you work for my family, you can't get paid? Let's see the follow-up.
Well, then what are we going to do for a job? Because you said it was going to be a job, but now you're telling me I'm not going to make any money working for them?
They never pay for a family.
You don't think this was something you thought you might want to mention? Like, it might be an issue if he's planning to work for your family, you know that, and yet they don't pay for family, and you're just telling him now? I mean, there's some problems with that.
Okay, then why did we make that our plan, that we were going to do that as a job?
No,
If we can't go there and have any type of a life, why would we do this? I'm not going to move somewhere if I can't take care of you.
Exactly. So the whole thing has been simply, we're going to move from here to here. I'm going to provide, I'm going to be able to make money. We're going to be okay because I'll be able to get a job over there with your family. But now you throw a wrench in the whole thing and you just want to act like, oh, that's just normal. What do you expect? Her explanation is interesting. I will say that.
That's very unsettling.
we can just get the banana chip from my dad's house and then we go to another city to sell it there.
We're buying the chips from him and then we're selling them
So you're like the Lay's vendor guy, only in Indonesia where it's going to be a lot harder to sell the actual chips.
ourselves. Commissions.
Exactly.
Well, that's what you should have said. But to say that, oh, you're not going to make any money.
It's my third language. It's hard. I need to translate it to language in my brain.
Except that you literally just said they don't pay for family. So I understand English is not your first language. I get that part. But you literally just told him in English that my family doesn't pay family to work for them. You didn't think that maybe not making money was gonna be an issue? No, she just, I don't know what her whole thing is, let's go over there. I'm uncomfortable in the United States. I'm going to get him over there. But she knows that if there's no way to make money or there's not big prospects of making money, he's probably going to be against it because how the hell are you going to provide? I want you to shift your attention to the Filipino couple from the last season. I can't remember their names, but they were over there. The guy went over there to marry, the Filipino girl, and he paid for a house for her family and everything like that. Went over there, spent every penny he had, and then the idea was to sell like snacks in a little shack in front of the house where they made pennies on the dollar and couldn't make any money. Doesn't work out that well. So what is the reason here except to make sure that he doesn't change his mind? And now you're going to the airport. You know well enough that he's not going to want to just say, okay, well, I guess you can go there, but I'm not going there. So you got him. It's very manipulative. And if she's going to try to tell me that it's a language barrier, that's bull. That's bull, and you know it.
I grew up with helping my dad with banana chip. I don't realize if I need to share the detail to James about what we do.
What are you talking about? It's what do you mean you don't need to know if you need to share the details with him about what you do? What you do in this aspect is don't pay your family. It's a big deal. Maybe you think your family can just, take up for you and everything, but this guy had a sole purpose of making as much money as he can and then getting over there to provide and to make sure y'all have a nice life. And yet now you think I don't need to tell him, or I didn't think I need to tell him because why would I? Are you high? No, manipulative. I'm telling you, it's manipulation. That's all it is.
I wasn't trying to keep a secret from him like he did about Jojo.
And there's the redirect. There's the redirect, trying to put the blame off of her. Like I said, it was wrong he didn't tell her about the dog. However, she knows what she did is wrong, and now she's taking that being like, well, it's not really wrong like he did about not telling me about the dog. Come on, man. Just because what he did was wrong as well doesn't mean what you did was okay. I mean, seriously, how many drugs are you on right now?
Me and Tata talk every single day, but it's not the same as being beside each other, so I'm just ready to be with her again. I'm on edge. I really been dragging my feet about telling my family.
What? What did you say? It just said it's been a month since she's been back and he's about to go over there and you have yet to tell your family. What is wrong with these people? Every time this happens where they don't tell their family till the last minute. I get it. They don't want to because they don't want the negative. They don't want them to try to talk them out of it. I understand, but there's also right and wrong. You can still be like, hey, I'm going to tell my family so they know because that's the right thing to do, but I've also made up my mind that I'm going to do this. Like, what can't they connect with this? This is what I'm talking about that kind of emotionally immature mentality. Like, when you have that emotionally immature mentality, you don't want to deal with consequences. Now, there are good consequences and there are bad consequences. So in this case, the consequence is maybe your family's not happy or maybe they don't want you to do it, but you still have the opportunity to make your own decision. It's your family, but you're an adult. So they might give you their opinion about it, but you don't have to listen to it if you don't want to. But it's still wrong to not tell them and to lead up to it like this, especially when your family's company is the one you're working for and they rely on you, but you're about to bail? There is no one good in this relationship. Come on.
When I left, my family had to downsize the entire company. There was not enough mechanics to do all the work. I felt guilty for leaving everybody else behind, and we were married for less than a year.
This is not the first time. He's done it before. So he up and left because the other girl that he married thought it was too cold up there. So she wanted to go to Florida. So he followed her to Florida. They were married less than a year. He up and abandoned his family's business, and then they had to downsize because he's one of the key mechanics on the elevators. And guess what? It didn't work out, and now you're back doing it again. But you know what? His brother has some good points on this.
And mom and dad do not know. So,
I mean, you gotta tell them.
yes, I'm gonna be telling them tomorrow.
So I'm guessing you're quitting?
Huh?
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of pressure on you.
At least his wife is comforting him because he knows when your brother just told you, yeah, I'm up and leaving again. And by the way, you know, you're going to have to deal with the fallout because I'm following another love interest that we can't seem to get on the same page. And we're kind of, you know, not being honest with each other. So there's that. And oh, by the way, she wasn't comfortable there. What makes you think you're going to be comfortable there when you go over to Indonesia? What do you think is going to happen? Now, of course, your family is going to be there and, you know, they'll be there for you, I'm sure. But damn, it ain't right. I mean, if you want to leave, fine. But not only are you leaving, you're leaving them in a bind at the last minute. Even, you know, companies now, a lot of companies want you to put in at least a month notice, and you don't have a familial relationship with them. This one, you're going to leave within like a week or two, and what? You're just okay with it because they're going to forgive you because they're family? How messed up you got to be? Now, they bring up kids, and the inevitable question is asked, finally, straightforward, do you want kids? So we finally get an answer from him on this one, and it's interesting his reasoning.
Because I don't really want to have kids. So,
You don't want to have kids ever?
not right now, not with the state of the world and everything. I mean, it terrifies me of what you'd be bringing a child into.
Now listen to his logic.
When I made the promises, that was 5 years ago, and the world was a different place. After COVID hit, that changed my view.
COVID? Come on, man. You're not going to have a family because of COVID? This dude, I was wrong. I was wrong because initially they made it seem like that he was just saying something in passing and, you know, you're a little afraid of kids. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a little fearful of becoming a parent because you want to make sure that you can protect your kids. But now he's saying, I don't want to bring my kids in this world because of the state of the world is in, and then brings up COVID. Come on, dude. Like, what are you even talking about? If you don't want to have kids, just be honest with the girl. She wants to have kids. Don't make cop-out excuses because all of a sudden you think that you need to fear the whole world instead of being like, yeah, I just don't want to have kids. I mean, yeah, there are some scary things in the world, but have a family. If she wants a family and you don't, this is going to be a big issue for you. Now, if you really don't want a family, fine. You know, no one can force you, but you need to be honest too. You need to be honest with her and you need to let her know, regardless of your ridiculous reason, that you don't want a family. So that way, she can make her own decision if she's willing to go forward or if she's not. This is one of the things we see constantly. We saw it with Shekinah and Sarper with the whole kid thing, where they can't get on the same page. And that's a big deal to not be on the same page about. Now, maybe one of you can compromise, but it's a little tougher when you're talking about starting a family versus not starting a family. Having kids versus not having kids. Big difference, and you need to be upfront and honest about it. This ain't like the dog. This ain't like not taking the dog over to Indonesia. This is she wants kids and you may not. Be honest. Be a man. Man up. Man card revoked. Do your duty and be a man. God, man. Ridiculous. Now, Sarper and Shekinah are an interesting couple, as always, because they can't get on the same page. He keeps flaunting his 2,500 people he slept with. She's Shekinah, for sure. She's LA through and through. And they got some issues. They got some issues. But I will say, if I was going to vote for one couple or maybe one person to get their own reality show, go ahead and give it to Sarper because as much as that guy's a douche, he's funny. What can I say? Is he good relationship material? No, not at all. But entertaining to say the least. Them two together are kind of funny. But it ain't gonna work long term.
And I saved it for many years because it was just really very special to me. And It was like the longest letter.
So what she's talking about is Sarper has this bottle collection of memories of past women. Now, why would you still have that when you're in a committed relationship? That's a good question. He shouldn't. I agree. But now she's talking about, I'm going to show him. I have a letter that was written to me when I was 16 years old by the person I was in love with then, and it's 143 pages long. Now, I'm no psychologist, but 143 pages written to you when you're 16 by, I presumably another 16-year-old, maybe not. I'm just going to say there are some vibes there, and they are not positive vibes. There's a little something going on with that guy, a little obsessive, a little, something. But she held on to that because she said it meant something to her. And now, all of a sudden, she's going to throw it in his face because, naturally, a letter from when you're 16 should really piss him off. I don't know what she thinks is going to happen, but it's comical. It's very comical.
3 or 4 days. So that's one of the proofs that I changed from a bad boy to a lovey-dovey. I mean, these are big responsibilities.
So his idea that he's changed from a bad boy is because he used to like cats. And cats you don't have to do with much. So you can go out for 3 or 4 days and leave them alone. So that makes you a bad boy. But now that she's bringing her dog there, well, that means he's a softie because now dog. Okay, Sarper. This guy, I can't with him. Give him his own reality show, please. God, please, please. I mean, the dude's emotional. I don't know. Maybe he's got to deal with his own demons, but he seemed pretty emotional to see her, so I will say that is not something I had on my bingo card for this show, of him getting all emotional when she got there. You kind of expect him to just be like, okay, Shekinah, come on, we go back to apartment now. And just be like done and cold. But all right, is there hope there? This would be funny if it ends up being that they are the only couple that actually still stays together. I mean, issues and all, sure. I'm not saying they're going to be a perfect couple, but this is how it tends to work out. One of the ones you think is probably the worst to actually stay together ends up staying together. So maybe.
I tried Heidi everywhere.
Honestly, I'm not happy to watch.
I mean, come on. Like, it's not even just bottles. It's in a display case. Like, it's a bunch of liquor bottles that supposedly he has a memory from for women in the past, and it's in a display case, and yet he won't get rid of it. I mean, that's messed up, man. You got to get rid of that. What are you doing? And it's not just like it's in boxes somewhere and you're like, oh, happy times partying. It's you put it in a display case for everyone to see as trophies. So these are trophies from the notches on your belt, from the notches in your bedpost. That's what this is. Because I kind of understand her being pissed if that's the case. And that's what it seems like. Either way, something's got to give with a lot of these couples. Something's got to give with them for sure. But we'll see. I don't know who would have the most hope of lasting. I really don't, because all of them have a lot of issues that have not been worked out, that need to be worked out, and that all these people are trying to immerse themselves in the relationship to work it out. Because, yeah, that's probably a good idea to be like, hey, we got all these issues. Let's put ourselves together in an enclosed space. It'll probably work. You know what? Sometimes it does. But a lot of times it doesn't end for the best. So the hopes are not there. But you know what? I still think it would be hilarious if Sarper and Shekinah are the ones that end up being here at the end of the season and none of the others are. That would be pretty funny. So we will see. We'll play it out and see what happens. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, share with your friends. I appreciate all the support. Thank you so much. And also, once we get to that 1,000, we're going to be looking at that live show. Looking forward to that. It's going to happen. We are at 780 now, so about 220 more, and then we'll start to plan for that. Like I said, probably going to happen during Married at First Sight when it comes back. So, lots of great things in the future. Thank you so much again, and I will see y'all next time.